Hello and welcome to the United Stand. Manchester United draw 1-1 with Real Madrid, but win on penalties in probably one of the worst penalty shootouts I've ever seen. But the bigger picture is, it's pre-season. We won a penalty shootout. I don't really give a damn about that. What I want to talk about is a few of the performances and also the actual performance of the team. I think what I want to say straight away is, if you're calling Lindelof a flop, come on, wake up. I mean, this is pre-season. It's his third or fourth game for Manchester United. He needs our support. He's a new player at Manchester United. He needs our support. He's not had a great tour. The penalty was very late. His penalty in the shootout was straight at the goalkeeper. But you know what? If you're going to start picking on Lindelof, where was our biggest ever signing who's an attacking midfielder? Where was Lukaku and where was Fellaini to take a penalty? They didn't even take a penalty. That is more concerning than Lindelof missing. Three big players in our team. Well, one of them's just big. He's not a big player, Fellaini. But why didn't Pogba and Lukaku step up and take a penalty? That would concern me as Mourinho. They're our attacking players. They're our most expensive players. And they don't take a penalty. So if you want to moan about Lindelof missing a penalty, you should probably moan about that. But I think Lindelof will be fine. Mourinho's got a very, very good record with centre-backs. It might just... I predicted this. I said this. I said, look, Bailly was a revelation the way he came into the team and was great. Vidic took a while, and Lindelof might take a while, but I'm sure he'll work out fine. So it's just overly dramatic to start calling him anything other than a good signing at this point. Fellaini, I want to give Fellaini man of the match. I want to give Fellaini man of the match because that's one of the worst performances I've seen from United in a long time, and it is only pre-season, which I'll talk about in a minute. But that miss from Fellaini just backed up and made my night as to why he, why is he a Manchester United player? But that miss, for anybody who's not seen it, I'm sure you can see it. Cross comes in, he's unmarked on the 6-yard box. I could have scored it with my backside, but Fellaini on his strong foot nearly hits the corner flag. But it was funny, and I think he deserves man of the match just for providing us with that bit of entertainment. But on a serious note, Martial probably deserves man of the match. It was an awful display from Manchester United, but that bit of individual brilliance, cutting in from the left, going past 3 Real Madrid players and putting it on a plate for Jesse Lingard to pass it home, brilliant from Martial. Penalty wasn't so great in the shootout, but at least he stood up and took a penalty, and the first penalty as well. So his attitude is spot on. But George Kyle says the Fellaini miss wasn't that bad. Let's get down to the serious stuff though. So Manchester United started the game with Pereira in the midfield and Carrick and Fellaini in there. If you'd watched the bit before the game, we were talking about it, and I said I've got a big fear about this first half, that Martial won't get much of the ball, Rashford won't get much of the ball, Lingard won't get much of the ball, and Pereira will have his work cut out. And the reason I said that is because Fellaini and Carrick are so slow and so static that we're not going to move the ball quick enough to get our attackers in the play. You think about that first half against Man City, Mkhitaryan running at the back four, feeding Rashford, feeding Lukaku, because he had a midfield behind him in Pogba and Herrera that are proper midfielders. They're dynamic. They get the ball, they feed the ball. They get the ball, they move. And Manchester United were a much better side in that first half against Manchester City. This game, we had Carrick and Fellaini in the first half. Pereira, when he did get the ball, he had 3 or 4 players around him. Couldn't do much. We really were living off scraps, and then Martial did that bit of individual brilliance, and we scored. Second half, Fellaini somehow manages to stay on. I'm so happy he did, so we got to see that brilliant miss. Fellaini stays on, but Pogba and Herrera come on. And for the first few minutes, we're like, yeah, this is good, because we're moving the ball a little bit quicker because we've got Herrera and Pogba. Herrera gets injured, goes off, McTominay comes on. McTominay, as a youth player, is no better than most of the youth midfielders that we've got. Why does he get picked by Mourinho? One obvious reason, he's 6'4", he's tall, so he gets picked. He comes onto the pitch, you've got Fellaini and McTominay on the pitch as the midfield, and Pogba becomes the Pereira of the first half. Ineffective every time he gets the ball, 3 or 4 players around him, because he's got no midfielders with him who can share the load creatively, who are actually moving, who can actually switch the play, who can actually run with the ball. So Pogba becomes ineffective like Pereira, and obviously, much like Rashford in the first half, Lukaku may as well have been having a cup of tea on the side because did nothing. Mkhitaryan, invisible. Martial, as in the first half, starved of possession because nothing's coming from the midfield. And this is only a pre-season game. I totally agree. I totally agree with that. It's a pre-season game, but we've reverted from that 3-5-2 formation that we played so well and was so entertaining to this 4-3-3. From January to the end of the season, last season, we were workmanlike. It was boring most of the time. It was the same sort of problem with Fellaini in the midfield. Very static, very slow. A lot of reliance on Herrera and Pogba to get things going. But a lot of the time, it didn't happen. And I think we're lurching towards that again with this midfield. Mourinho just seems unable to move away from putting tall, static midfielders in there. He's going to probably sign one in the next few days called Nemanja Matic. And unfortunately, I don't know what United fans are... When I say this and when other United fans say it, I don't know what your solution is. I don't know what your Lollipop Lane gingerbread house fantasy is. But it's not going to change when he plays. We predicted it before the game. Pereira's going to struggle because he's got Carrick and Fellaini with him. If you've got two midfielders like that with you, they're not... It's all on you. The creative side, the quick movement of the ball is all on you when all you've got is two physical players who are slow. And Carrick used to be very good, but he's not anymore. He's on the decline. He doesn't want to move from in front of the back four anyway, so he's not going to pass and move. Fellaini can't pass and move. Fellaini can't pass. So Pereira and Pogba in the second half become blunt. What I was really, really happy about on the watch-along is that nobody said Lukaku had a bad game, Martial had a bad game, Rashford had a bad game, Mkhitaryan had a bad game, Lingard had a bad game. They didn't have a bad game, they just had a 5 out of 10 game because they had nothing to do. It wasn't their fault they had a bad game. They were starved of oxygen. Your possession comes from the midfield, and they were starved. They didn't have bad games because they kept losing the ball. They had bad games because they didn't get any decent ball. The same for Pogba and Pereira. To do that in both halves was stunning. To have McTominay and Fellaini and then Carrick and Fellaini and to basically starve our attack was stunning. He didn't need to do it. He could have put Fosu Mensah in there. He could have put Twansibi in there. But he didn't, and I don't really understand. I mean, pre-season games, to be honest, we don't really need to moan about it too much because it's about match fitness. But we were lucky Real Madrid had no match sharpness because I think they would have absolutely destroyed us. It worries me what we're going to do next season if we're going to persist with this 4-3-3 and two of our midfielders are going to be Fellaini and Carrick or Matic or Matic and Fellaini. We'll face the same problem. The front three will be starved of chances and ability and quick ball because it's quick ball as well. You can give Martial and Mkhitaryan the ball, but if Fellaini gives it them, you can guarantee by the time he does it, the opposition will have all their men behind the ball. If Pogba and Herrera and say somebody like Pereira are your midfield three, Martial, Mkhitaryan, Lukaku, if they're the front three, are probably going to get the ball a lot quicker and they're going to get it in front of them that they can run at the players. There's just no creativity from the midfield when it's only Pogba or it's only Pereira. It's a worry, but it's one that we've had all last season, to be honest. Fellaini played a lot of games for United last year and it's a worry. Player ratings, it's very hard. It's very hard to give anybody a positive score, really. The defence were the defence, but nobody really stood out. The midfield was shocking, really shocking, and the attackers were starved of possession. My man of the match was Martial because he produced a bit of brilliance and Lingard scored from it. But I don't think it's fair to criticise any of the attackers. It's not fair to criticise Pogba or Pereira because they were the only player in the midfield. McTominay, Fellaini and Carrick were the problem in the whole team for me because they're just so slow and static. The defenders, Real Madrid didn't really offer anything, did they? And De Gea made a couple of good goalkeeping saves and a couple of penalty saves, but we didn't learn anything from United today. The positives are they put some more game time in their legs, but again, a bit like the second half against Man City, a bit like the Real Salt Lake game. As a team performance, as a footballing performance, it's not very good at the moment. And we can say that we need to go and make signings, but if one of those signings is Matic, well, we've already got that sort of midfielder. We've seen that today. Perisic would be welcome, but if we're not going to get the ball to Perisic because our midfield's so static, then you could sign Neymar. We've got to sign a midfielder that can play football. You know, maybe we could get by with Matic, Herrera and Pogba. It would be a slight improvement because Matic is slightly better than Fellaini and Carrick, and certainly McTominay. So Matic, Herrera and Pogba would be an improvement. But what if Herrera's broke his rib? He could be out for a few weeks. The scary thing is, if anything happens to Herrera or Pogba, at the moment, we have to play two giants in the midfield, and then we have a problem. It's only pre-season, folks, but I think the warning signs are there. We need to do something in the transfer window. I just think it will be Matic, and I don't think that will change anything. Let's have a look at some of your comments. Short people have low centre of gravity, so it's easy for them to twist and turn, says Anurag. Yeah, different. Luke says McTominay was not poor today. Oh, mate, if you think... Look, you want to like him because he's a youth player, but if you think 6'4", gangly, slow midfielder is what Manchester United need, I'm sorry, I put Manchester United first. I put Manchester United's future and ability to win trophies first. Just because he's a young lad doesn't mean I'm going to say he's going to be a Manchester United player. I don't see anything in him that makes me think he should get anywhere near the bench. He's just a tall, slow player, and he did okay against Real Madrid reserves. But did he do anything that, you know, he set Fellaini up? Nothing. Not for me. Not for me. Doug03, are you sure you support United? So negative. Mate, I'm reading a lot of the comments and a lot of people are saying the same thing. We've just spent 2 hours of our Saturday night being bored to death with a midfield that didn't need to be like that. We didn't need to play a midfield like that. We could have kept Pereira on. You could have started that second half with Pereira, Herrera and Pogba. You could have moved Fosu Mensah, who is not a right back. Fosu Mensah is brilliant at breaking up the play and moving the ball. He's not a right back. He should be in the midfield. You could have put him in there. You could have put Twansibi in there, who didn't even get a minute on the pitch. Mitchell, we were told Mitchell was going to play. Didn't get a minute on the pitch. Our big problem is the midfield. We need to buy a midfielder. Fabinho's the obvious one. I don't think we're going to do it. We need a midfielder. The whole team would change if we had a midfielder in there with Pogba and Herrera who can move the ball quickly, who's got a bit of movement about them, and suddenly the whole team... We saw it in the first half against Manchester City. Herrera and Pogba, quick movement to Mkhitaryan at number 10. He had Lingard and Rashford, I think, and then Lukaku up front. Oh, that front six, quick, tenacious, movement to the ball, and Man City couldn't deal with us. You contrast that with today, slow build-up play, no creativity. Real Madrid have got a cigar on. Mo Sana says Scott McTominay was good. Did you watch the game, mate? Did you watch the game? How can you say he played well when our midfield were atrocious? How can you say Pogba? You know, I love Pogba. Pogba didn't play well. Fellaini didn't play well. McTominay didn't play well. They didn't play well because Manchester United didn't play well. So if you're saying he played well, tell me how many good passes he did. How did he drive us forward? How did he make us creative? No, he didn't. They didn't play well. None of our midfield played well, and it was because it's static and slow. You cannot say he played well. You can want to think he played well. You can want him to be a United player because he's from the youth setup, and I understand that. But he didn't play well. We didn't play well. So how did he play well? We didn't play well. Wake up and smell the coffee. Come on. You know, I'll give somebody credit when credit is due, but he didn't play well. He put a good cross in, one good cross in, and he did a few short passes that were okay, but he got bypassed by Real Madrid's B team, as did Fellaini. You know, Pogba didn't play well either, but to be honest, Pogba didn't play well because he had two slow, static midfielders next to him who provided him with nothing, and it was all on him. Real Madrid knew when Pogba got the ball, swarm round him, because the other two, they're not going to do anything. Richard Churchill says the first half was okay, to be fair, mate. No, it wasn't. The first 5 minutes was okay, where we were pressing them. The next 30 minutes after that, we were static. We didn't create anything. Up until Martial, who created something out of nothing, we created nothing. Lingard had a good shot from just outside the box, but we didn't create anything. I don't know. You know, each to their own. It's your opinion. If you think that was acceptable, that's fine. That's up to you. Ian Wright's made a contribution. Thank you. Thanks for that, Ian. Do you think Mu can't evolve to a mod... well, Clifford says, do you think Mourinho's struggling to evolve to a more modern game and he's just set in his ways? Tyrone Williams says, I blame Mourinho, not looking forward to another season with him in charge. I want Giggs in. Well, you might have ruined that comment with that. Shrews 1990 says, McTominay played well. You're just so critical because he proved you wrong. I'm not going to say any more about McTominay. He did not play well. How can you say he played well when we didn't play well? Our midfield got bypassed and it didn't... How can he have played well when Madrid cut through our midfield all half, when we starved our attacking players of possession? How can he have played well? He didn't stop Madrid from coming through us, and he didn't provide our attackers with any decent ball. So how can he play well? I'm not like being petulant and stubborn because I feel like it. I'm trying to find out how you are saying he played well. What did he do apart from put a cross into Fellaini, which provided me with the most comical moment of this tour? How did he play well? I'm asking you, how did he play well? Luca says McTominay was crap. Yadman TV says McTominay was better than Fellaini. Yeah, he was. The corner flag was better than Fellaini. Twitch Doctor says Fosu Mensah or Pereira should start with Herrera and Pogba. I'd love to see that. Yeah. Andrew Ellis says Jose's the one making the mistakes. You shouldn't be picking on players. He's probably got a valid point. Blind played well, says Harold. Relly 365 says McTominay's just going to add to our squad players. Yeah, what? Just another average squad player. We've got so many of those. We need to get rid of some of these players and get some good players in. That's the problem. I'll tell you what, we get an injury to Pogba, we get an injury to Lukaku, and we are screwed because underneath we've got a good first 11. I can think of a good first 11, but you lose a couple of those first 11 and we are in trouble. And the football's not even good either. Like Shavel Mill says, we're boring. Jake Bullman says this is getting a bit heated, Mark. I'm not getting heated. I'm not getting heated. I'm just disagreeing with people who are saying that McTominay played well, and I'm then asking how he played well, because how did he play well when Madrid dominated our midfield and we didn't provide anything to our attackers? So if you're in that midfield three, I'm sorry, you didn't play well. Even Pogba, who I felt very sorry for, he didn't play well because he had two players next to him who were slow, not creative, and didn't offer any balance. So Pogba just got swamped. So Pogba had his reasons for not playing well. Fellaini didn't play well, and I don't think McTominay played well either. So I'm throwing it back. Why did he play well? Because he put one cross into Fellaini. So if that cross from McTominay to Fellaini and Fellaini scores, do we say that Fellaini played well just because he scored that chance? Of course he didn't. He was atrocious, but he scored a goal. This is where people get lost. So McTominay puts that cross in, Fellaini scores. Do we say that they both played well that because of one phase of play, but the rest of it where it was atrocious? Of course we don't. Of course we don't. I'm not even reacting to it now because I know people are trying to say it. It's just if somebody says something of relevance about it, then I'll react to it. Cosa Nostra says the truth hurts. We're in trouble. Shambolic performance, no ifs or buts. We are United, not good enough against the reserve sides. There's Dermot McKee. I'll defend United on that. To be honest, look, I'm not in for a rant or anything like that. Stupid. It's pre-season. The performance in a pre-season is pretty much irrelevant. It's about the individual performances. But the concern is the echo to last season. The formation is the same as last season. The movement in the midfield is the same as last season. The starving of our attackers is the same as last season, especially the second half of last season. First half of last season was good. We created loads of chances. We just didn't put them in the back of the net. I think people get a little bit forgetful that we missed a lot of chances last season, but most of those chances were missed up until Christmas. After Christmas, we didn't create that many chances. We didn't, because Mourinho decided to shut up shop and grind results out. First half of the season was when we played the good football, but we didn't put the chances away. Second half of the season was when we played like tonight, where we just, we're hard to break down, but we don't create much. Pereira was great, says Oliver Svensson. I think he tried very hard, but he was very limited by Carrick and Fellaini. Gaz W, we need a world-class midfielder to drag players away from Pogba to free him up. Look, I don't think he is available. But if Verratti was available, I'd go and spend 80 million on him, because you've got Verratti, Herrera, Verratti, Pereira, Verratti, and obviously Pogba's in there, and it would free him up. Will we sign Verratti? No, because McTominay's probably going to play before he picks Verratti, because McTominay's 6'4", Verratti's 5'5". So straight away, Mourinho wouldn't be interested in that. Luke Sominski says, it was reserves with speed against the slow midfield. It should show Jose that we need to keep some quick players in midfield. And why was Pogba playing a deep centre midfield role? I think Pogba had to come and play a deep centre midfielder role, because if he tried to play further forward, he wouldn't have seen the ball, like Lukaku, like Martial, like Mkhitaryan. I think Pogba, being the footballer he is, he wanted to get involved, so he came deep to get the ball. Obviously Pogba playing deep is not a good idea. Raymond G says, I think Mourinho is testing which pairs in midfield work better. Yeah, but Raymond, we were all talking about this on the preview. We know that Carrick and Fellaini as a midfield pair is going to destroy our team as an attacking sense, because it's too slow. Mourinho gets paid a lot of money. He should know that. I don't know why he needs to test that. Mourinho only plays height. That's why we never got Kante, says Lord Fellaini. I've just been called a name whore by Isaac a Hero. You just want to buy the league. I don't recall me saying we need to go and buy a whole new team. I could pick a team that would, I think we need to sign a couple of players. I really do. I think actually we probably need to sign about 3 or 4 players, but definitely 2. And the reason we need to sign 3 or 4 players is because we bought badly over the last 3 years, and there's a lot of deadwood in the squad, in my opinion. But actually, if I don't even need to, you know what? If I was in charge, I wouldn't even sign anybody, and I'd still put a decent side out. Because you know what I'd do? I would put Fosu Mensah in the midfield. I would put Pereira in the midfield. I would play obviously Pogba and Herrera. That's 4 players that are better than Fellaini and what Carrick offers us anymore. So no, I'm not a name whore at all. I think our attack is very good. I think it's just starved of possession. It's starved of any decent ball from a midfield like that. So I don't think we need to go and sign loads of players. No, I just think the midfield, the centre defensive midfielder. When we spoke about it back in May, you all said it. We said it. The most important signing this summer was getting a centre defensive midfielder who had some mobility about them. That was what everybody said, and it looks like we're not going to do that. So you can sign Griezmann, you can sign Neymar, you can sign Perisic, but if you don't get the midfielder in that's going to be the glue between the back 4 and the midfield and the movement of that ball quick, then you may as well forget about it. We had some really good attackers on the pitch today. Doesn't matter if it was Ronaldo, Messi and Neymar up front. They wouldn't have, if they don't get the ball, they can't do anything about it. The problem with United, and the problem with United for the last few months, has been the midfield, especially the centre defensive midfield position. We've been asking Herrera to do the job, and it's not really his position. Talk about Martial Marks as Daniel Elliott. Well, I think Martial was man of the match. He created something out of nothing, and we got a goal from it. Apart from that, I think Martial suffered with what he always suffers with: slow ball when he's got his back to his fullback. He needs it in front of him so he can run at the player. But that was the same for Mkhitaryan in the second half. It was the same for Lingard in the first half. It was the same for Rashford and Lukaku. So Martial wasn't the only one. They're just not getting the ball that they need because it's not coming out quick enough. I would agree with Angad Singh. I'd go 3-5-2 as well. I really would. But it is only pre-season. It's only pre-season. But I am concerned about some of the formations we're playing. Marco Enzo says, it sounds like you don't have trust in Jose. I do have trust in him, but I back Mourinho. Everybody knows that. I've always backed him from the start, and I do back him now. I think we're going to win the league next year because Mourinho always wins the league in his first 2 years. So that's what I think. But I don't back everything he does because that would be stupid. Who backs? You can't 100% back anybody. You've got to have your own opinions. I just totally disagree with what he does with Fellaini. I really do. And secondly, I don't like what I've seen in the last game and a half where we play 2 midfielders who are very slow. I don't like that at all. Formation is the same, probably because Mourinho didn't get the plays it wanted, says Shubak, thanks for the contribution. And right, okay, look, I could talk about this all night. The reality is, it's Skype Goldbridge tomorrow night at 8:30. I know a lot of you will want to come in and have your say, and I'll look forward to what you've got to say about it, good or bad. That's what it's all about. It's all about opinion at the end of the day. You can be moody and say you totally disagree with me. That's fine. Or you can half agree with me, or you can agree with me. I don't mind. It's your opinion. If you're passionate about it, that's fine. That's what this channel is all about. So if you totally disagree with what I've said, well, at least it's probably sparked a bit of passion in you. If you do agree, then you probably feel as passionate as I do. But let's call it for now, says Mark Law. Exactly. My man of the match was Martial. My moment of the match was Fellaini's miss. It put a smile on my face. We move on to Barcelona on Wednesday. Be interesting. They'll have played a game by now, so they'll be a little bit more match fit. If we play with a midfield like that, I'd imagine Herrera won't be fit. He looked like he took a bit of a knock. Hopefully it's not a broken rib and it's just a bruised hip. But if we play with a static midfield like that, I think we're in trouble. Drop a like on the video. Even if you disagree with me, drop a like on the video, because where else do you get this sort of banter and not banter? Where else do you get this sort of real debate? Even if you disagree with me, at least we are, we're letting out our frustrations as fans, which is exactly what the United Stand's all about. So thanks everyone for watching. You let a little bit more out tomorrow. Skype Goldbridge at 8:30. I look forward to your calls. It's your show. And we'll have the transfer update tomorrow morning. Probably going to do it off my phone, so it'll be about 7:15. Yeah, it'll be about 7:15, 7:45, somewhere around that time. So make sure you've subscribed, because you'll get the notification when I go live, because on my phone I can't put a stream up early. It'll just go live. So thanks everyone for watching. Speak to you all soon, and let's all get some sleep. Remember, we're all on the same team. Hopefully.